This is the new Mercedes GLB and it's a bit of many things. It offers the 3-row flexibility like the larger Mercedes GLS. In size, it's comparable to the GLC that we're all familiar with. And in its general demeanor, it's youthful like a GLA, with which it also shares its platform. Question is, how does it all come together? The very first thing to mention about a GLB is its size. It's much larger than you'd expect it to be. It's way bigger than the GLA and is actually about as long as the current GLC and significantly higher in its roof too. In look though, the GLB is easy to think of as a mini GLS, and it's not just down to the upright pillars and boxy silhouette. The squared out headlights and wide swept taillights also link Merc's smallest and largest 7-seat SUVs. Featured here is the range-topping GLB 220D 4MATIC that's solely available in AMG line form. The AMG-ness comes through via a studded grille, sportier bumpers and attractive 19-inch rims. Progressive line versions ride on smaller 18-inchers and are generally down on flash. While there's a clear visual link to the larger GLS to the GLB's exterior, on the inside it is unmistakably related to the A-Class limousine and the GLA with which it shares its platform. It gets the same twin-screen layout, it gets these beautiful to operate jet turbine-like AC vents, and much of what you touch is high-grade Mercedes. The steering wheel, for instance, is really great to hold. There's a lovely carbon fiber-like weave on the dashboard, and even this faux aluminium look is quite convincing. To nitpick, the plastics on the glove box lid aren't at par with the rest of the interior. There is more to like about the cabin though. You like the elevated seating position, and the top spec versions get these really lovely sport seats that are not only well finished but also get you handy under-thigh support. The front seats are powered and get memory as well. Features-wise, the GLB comes very well equipped. You get digital dials which are customizable for themes. The touchscreen is really nice to use, and it also packs in connected car features so you can stay in touch with your car remotely. You also get a twin-pane sunroof, which is really large and allows a lot of light to come in. But to me, one of the highlights on the GLB has got to be the ambient light package. It really adds a lot of color and youthfulness to this interior. Other features of interest up front include 2-zone climate control, wireless phone charging, and Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, though it's not wireless. The sound system is also rather nice, as is the resolution of the reverse camera. The safety suite includes 7 airbags with curtain airbags that extend all the way to the 3rd row. There's ABS, ESC and active braking too, though the system is overreactive on our chaotic roads. Time to switch focus to the middle row. Now the GLB is clearly no GLS in terms of size, and interior space is also quite a lot less than what you get in the biggest of the Merc SUVs. But for what is a relatively compact 7-seat SUV, this does quite well on rear seat space. Now a lot of owners will be spending time at the back, and the front seat is set to my driving position. I'm just under 6 feet tall. I have reasonable space. But before you start judging this car, the seats do come with a lot of flexibility. So I could take this all the way back. I have more knee room now. There's also the option to adjust the backrest angle, though the level of adjustability isn't all that much. And the seats are split 40-20-40, with each of the backrests adjustable for angle. The seating position is quite nice, though I would have liked a bit more thigh support from the seat itself. Space-wise, it is a seat best for 2, but you can squeeze in a 3rd passenger. The floor is quite low. You can obviously fold down the center armrest, and it does come handy when you don't have a 3rd passenger to cart around. Aside from the flexible seat, other amenities at the back include your dedicated sunroof. You also get rear aircon vents, though there is no climate control zone for this section of the cabin, and charging options are limited to 1 USB Type-C slot. Shades for the large windows would have been welcome too. Now for the 3rd row. Mercedes has very categorically said that the 3rd row of the GLB is intended and meant for pre-teens. But in the interest of bringing you a wholesome review and some entertainment as well, I am going to demonstrate what it's going to be like for a full-grown adult at the very back.
So, yup, you will have to take Mercedes at their word. The third row of seats is not meant for large adults. I don't have any headroom. My knees are pointed skywards. My knees are touching the middle row seat, and it's not even set all the way back. So just remember, this is a place exclusively for kids.
Your rearmost passengers do get cup holders and USB slots, but there are no air conditioning vents, which is a big downer. The proximity of the rear seats to the rear windscreen is something not everyone will be comfortable with either. Over to space behind the rear seats. The GLB gets a powered tailgate that lifts to reveal a minimal 130 litres of room with all seats up. Folding down both third row backrests opens up 500 litres, while the second row can also be folded down to free up 1055 litres of cargo space. Do note there's no provision for a spare tyre, and a puncture repair kit is what you'll have to make do with in the event of a flat. The GLB will go on sale in India with petrol and diesel engines, and there'll also be its all-electric derivative, the EQB, that I'll cover in a dedicated video. The GLB range will comprise the front-wheel drive GLB 200 petrol with a 163 horsepower and 250 Nm 1.3-litre engine. The GLB 220D diesels use a stronger 190 horsepower and 400 Nm 2-litre diesel engine and can be had with front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. It's the fully loaded GLB 220D 4MATIC AMG line that I've got here.
Now, we've experienced this 190 horsepower 2-litre diesel engine on other Mercs before, and the experience is pretty much the same. This is an engine with a lot to give. There's a ready access to power, which makes it very likable. And when you want to overtake in a hurry or when you're driving uphill, it feels like a strong engine and you really won't be left wanting for more power. The caveat here is that I've been driving this car alone. Performance will take a hit when you're fully loaded up with all 7 seats occupied. But again, that 400 Nm figure does tell you that you should be pretty well catered to. Sport mode makes the engine and gearbox more alert, and it does add a bit more spice to the driving experience. The gearbox does its job well, but when you do want to take manual control, the next gear is just a tap off the paddle shifters away, and the system is quite responsive.
Mercedes claims a 0 to 100 kph time of 7.6 seconds for the 220D 4MATIC and 7.7 seconds for the front-wheel drive diesel. The GLB 200 petrol does the same sprint in 9.1 seconds. While we're yet to drive the GLB 200 petrol, the numbers sure suggest the strong diesel will be better suited to the GLB than the petrol engine would be. You will hear more of the diesel engine though.
At low speeds and low RPMs, you really won't hear all that much from the engine bay. This is a pretty refined diesel engine. But press down a bit harder and that grumble does become audible from the engine bay. And there's no escaping that this is a diesel at the end of the day.
In other areas, the GLB is quite accomplished.
The GLB is a very easygoing car in the way it takes corners. There's a nice weight at the steering. At lower speeds, you'll particularly like that the steering doesn't require all that much effort and that this car feels smaller than it actually is. It's also very nice and obedient in turns, and you can add a bit more weight at the steering by shifting to sport mode, though I must tell you that it doesn't really make this a very sporty handling car. The GLB's ride is largely good, but on broken patches you will feel a bit of firmness that comes through from the suspension setup. It's not bad and actually does a pretty good job on our roads.
Versions with the smaller 18-inch rims and chunkier tires will likely offer a more absorbent ride. We didn't get a chance to put the all-wheel drive system to an extreme test, but it's comforting to know the system will transfer power to the rear axle when more traction is needed. A dedicated off-road drive mode that adjusts engine ESP and brake characteristics and hill descent control are also part of the package. So that's the new GLB for you that makes for a very interesting addition to Merc's SUV lineup. It's not the best 7-seat model you can buy, but that third row does lend it a flexibility that'll endear it to younger families who'll only have occasional use for all seats. The mini GLS looks, the high-grade interior and pleasant performance are other pulls here. Thing is, the GLB won't come cheap. The model will come to India as a full import and you can expect pricing in the 68 to 72 lakh rupee ex-showroom range. For perspective, that's more than what the current GLC costs. The GLB's position in Merc's SUV hierarchy then could make it a tricky sell, but if you really look at the big picture, there's nothing quite like it at this price point. It's a unique SUV that has the content to fit the bill for many buyers.